8:35, nearly 1,000 volunteers are expected to show up this morning to help plant 15,000 trees in an east side Detroit neighborhood.
More than 20 acres of formerly blighted property have been all cleared and prepped for Hance Farms. Our very own Stephen Clark joins us live for the neighborhood. What's the big plan today, Stephen?
I'm standing in a forest right here. I know it doesn't look like a forest right now because we're missing the trees. The trees are right over here. They're going to be put in these holes right here. And Mike Score is the man who's in charge of it all. Mike, this is the day you've been working for the last couple of years. You've been acquiring property here in the Detroit area, and now you're going to plant trees on them.
Yes, the Hance Group and Hance Woodlands are out here today. We're going to have 1,200 volunteers from around southeastern Michigan coming out to help us put these trees in the ground.
All right, so what's the long-term plan? I know I've talked to you on stories over the last year or so on what you're planning, but go ahead and refresh us on what your ultimate plan is here.
Last year, before we started, this field where we're standing was waist-high in thistles, and the alleys were choked with brush. We came in and we ripped out all that. We got it back down to bare ground. We've been mowing it every week. And now we're planting trees to beautify the neighborhood, and about 60 years from now we can harvest them and get our money back. So it's a long-term beautification project that allows us to get our money back over time.
Now some people criticize you and say, oh, you're just buying Detroit, but what are you really doing here?
John Hance lives in Detroit about 2 blocks from here, and he'd like a better place to live. He wants his neighbors to have a better place to live, and he can afford to make this investment. So it's just a good neighbor investment by a for-profit company trying to make Detroit a better city.
All right, thank you. Mike Score. So 1,200 volunteers is the latest count, including a whole bunch of Channel 7 employees, viewers, and friends of ours on social media, all coming out here this morning to plant trees. So by the end of the day, we should have a forest here, or at least a forest in planting.
This is unprecedented, isn't it, Stephen?
It's different, and there's so many different blight-busting projects going on around town, but they call this kind of a sustainable cleanup. So what happens, a lot of people will clean up blight, but then it just sits there and starts overgrowing again, people dump and so forth. Not here. This is going to be maintained by the Hance Group for 60 years.
Stephen Clark, like a modern-day Johnny Appleseed almost.
Kind of like that.
Something like that. Thanks,
Stephen.
Stephen.